You think you know all about robotics? How a robot looks like, who's manufacturing it, the strengths and the weaknesses, the internal structure, the control, the mechanics, the drive. You think you know it all? Well, give us 7 minutes and I will show you a new glance, a new point of view when talking about robotics. Well, let's start from the beginning. Robotic is not an old word. Actually, it was founded in the 20s in a Czech drama, in a theater, more or less. And just like the middle of the 50s, we talk about the typical robot you know in industrial applications. And depending which statistics you take a look at, as of today, about 3 million robots are used globally. And yes, for sure you have seen one or even more of them. But still, I believe there are a couple of things you have never seen before when we talk about robots. And we talk about robots made by Beckhoff. And this today is a technology showcase about ATRO. And ATRO means automation technology for robotics. But before we take a look into tomorrow's solution, let's step back and take a look into the existing robotic portfolio from Beckhoff. And I'm really happy that Tommy is here. Thomas' long-lasting record with Beckhoff, multiple hats in the last 20 or more years. In the last couple of years, in particular, an EtherCAD expert. But let's take a wide look to the Beckhoff robotic portfolio. So what do we offer already today?
Yeah, Roland, we have our own motors, which we develop and manufacture by ourselves. We have drive amplifiers, so integrated into motors, modular systems with that. We have IOs, we have safety products, a lot of functional safety products. And this, is already a big portfolio for robotic industry.
But this is more or less hardware. What about software and Trinket for robotics?
Yeah, Trinket also fully integrated. So we have libraries for kinematics, we have libraries for motion, and we also have some interfaces to other robot vendors.
Now you as an EtherCAD expert today, is EtherCAD also somehow used in the robotics?
I think EtherCAD is the most used motion bus inside robotics today. Yeah.
Wow, so we have different hardware products, we have Trinket libraries, we have EtherCAD. So is there anything we can optimize from your point of view?
Well, maybe we can coordinate and combine everything and then make something modular for robotics. Yeah.
And that's my buzzword, thank you, modular. Because more or less everything is modular at Beckhoff, isn't it? Our I/O system, since day one modular, or today MX system, of course modular. Even my PCs are modular, but is this just a buzzword or is this a key feature also for robotics? So, Thomas, when we think about robotics, do you think modularity is important also for robotics?
Yes, Roland, on the one hand, if you look at the market, you see always fixed structures. You have 6-axis kinematics, you have delta kinematics, you have SCARA kinematics. But on the other hand, you have fixed structures of robots and you have to build your application around your robot on the other hand. So this means if you have the possibility to have a modular robot, you have your fixed application, you have your workpiece flow, and you can design your robot into your application.
But I mean, when we talk about robots, we have different people in the field. So there's maybe the end user who is finally using the robot, but there's the machine builder, there's an integrator. So is this for benefit for all of them?
Yes, of course. If you, for example, if you have a 6-axis kinematic, you have 6 axes, 6 degrees of freedom, but if you only need 4 for your product, you have more payload because you only need 4 axes. So this means that's good for the construction. And on the other hand, it's a pricing thing. You only need to pay for 6 axes, or for 4 axes, sorry.
So now let's take a look what happened if Beckhoff talks about robotic. ATRO, automation technology for robotics made by Beckhoff. It's a technology showcase where you start, as always, with a single PC. One PC does it all. Multiple robot applications on one controller. And it's so simple with 1 axis. Or maybe you like to have 2 axes, then take 2 modules. And for sure we can do a delta kinematic with 3 axes. But some of you might need a gripper and an extra axis, so well, let's assemble simply 4 axes. I already noticed what you think about, well, I need 6 axes. Well, easier said than done, because then you just take a few more modules and you make it a 6-axis robot. Honestly, it can even be 7 axes. Now this is ATRO. But now at the end of the little show now, let's take a look about the key benefits. So what is the key value for the customers, for you, when we talk about ATRO, automation technology for robotics from Beckhoff? So Guido, here's your 1 minute pitch. What are the key benefits for ATRO?
Okay, let me try. So ATRO offers our customers new freedom or flexibility when they integrate a robot into their system. They can think completely different, because in the past they came to the robot vendor and asked what is the possibility of your robot, what are the features, and now they can integrate what they need. So they can say, I have these demands, and then they put together the ATRO modules.
So they start with the application and the robot comes, let's say, at the end.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, is there also a key benefit in the terms of software?
In the software, it is of course the integration into our automation system, into TwinCAD, because also when a system integrator has to integrate a robot into his machine or into the robot cell, he needs to integrate many different interfaces, from the robot control to the PLC, the safety part, the vision part, and all these needs to be put together. And those are not value-adding engineering parts; those are parts that are waste. And this can be done now within one system with a PC-based control.
Well, this sounds so simple. Modular, simple hardware, the existing simple software system. Now, this is a showcase today, but let's take a look how it looks like when we present this technology to our customers, and this looks like this. And do me a favor and join me on our tour through all the components of ATRO automation technology for robotics by Beckhoff. Okay, Tommy, let's go through the different parts step by step. What is part of ATRO?
Yeah, let's start at the bottom. So we have our base module where we feed in power, communication, the fluids like air and water, and also gigabit communication. And we have our motor modules, so the robot joints, and then we have our link modules to finalize the kinematics.
And in between is a standardized interface. We just connect them together.
Yes, we call it the ATRO interface, and it's always the same.
Now this is a print. How does it look in real life? So what do we have here?
We have different motor modules, different sizes. So we have the L form and the I type. They have different sizes, different torque, different speed, and the customer can combine specifically for his application, can combine the kinematics and build it.
Okay, now I-type is just a difference in length, or what is the difference here?
Well, the I-type is, the difference is the form factor, for sure, so we can use it as a 7th axis or just for a 2th-axis robot to following something. It's just different applications.
Now, yesterday we talked about the technology we have already in-house, like motors and drives and I/Os. Now, is this a Beckhoff-owned design, or where is this developed?
Yeah, it's completely developed by Beckhoff. Yeah.
All right, so ATRO is a Beckhoff product.
Yes.
Well, I think then it's time to take a look inside ATRO to see what is going on in the inside. And I will walk around this nice exhibit. We need some space, gentlemen, please. And let's go back to Thomas. Now, Thomas, this is an ATRO module, so what do we have here out of the 3 different modules?
Yes, this is the middle one, the 1220 module.
Okay, and it's a motor module, or what is it?
It's a motor module, yes.
Now, Tommy already told me we have like a standardized mechanical connection, so how is this done?
Yes, here we have a so-called hirt toothing. So this is exactly for centering. So I have the perfect center in every position, every time I contact the modules with each other. And on the other hand, we have a self-locking thread. So the customer only needs to close it, fix it, and it's ready to go.
And we've seen this yesterday already. You make a little video about this where you assemble actually this robot. So what have you assembled all together there?
So in the first point there was a base module. Then we had 2 RM1220 modules. Those are the 3rd strongest modules in the concept. Then we have a link module to get to the 14 modules, or we so call it the RM1000 modules. And then we connected 4 of them.
And this is something you did together in just a minute or a little bit longer. Yes. But this is exactly what the customer would do, or is this something Beckhoff only does?
No, it's what the customer does. So the customer gets his modules for his application, and he standardizes or constructs his own robot. So he gets the modules from Beckhoff, and he builds his own robot in his...
So he might even have the modules on stock, and he assembles it just according to his actual needs?
Yes.
Now, I think mechanic is easy to understand. What we have not spoken about yet is actually wiring. I haven't seen any cable. I have not seen fluids. I don't have seen communication. I think it's time to take a deep look now inside the module. Now, you still have the motor module with you, so what is the secret inside your module?
So the secret is the customer has 4 pins. So 4 pins is 2 of them are 48 volts.
Okay.
It's for the modules themselves, and then we have 2 pins for the customer. So the customer is able to get every current or voltage up to 16 amperes, 230 volts up to the TCP.
Okay.
And so we have extra 4 fluid channels for the customer at the TCP. So no wires attached.
Okay, and what is in the centerpiece, the little circular connector?
The centerpiece is for data. So we have EtherCAT and Ethernet through the whole robot to the end of the TCP.
Okay, EtherCAT and Ethernet. So this is something, Tommy, I need to ask you again as an EtherCAT expert. Now, why do we have EtherCAT and on top also gigabit LAN all the way to the top?
Yeah, EtherCAT we need for the real-time control of the drives and I/Os and then safety and everything. And the gigabit Ethernet is the second channel for the customer, also up to the TCP, where you can use it for vision, for example, or for complex grippers or stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so extra flexibility for the customer, so not only on the mechanical point, but also on the control side.
Yes.
Okay, now all this needs to be built together, extremely robust and stable. It's a development by Beckhoff, so our Austrian team and our German team work closely together. Now, where is it actually manufactured then also?
So the manufacturing of the whole product, this development is, as you already showed, in Vienna and in Germany, and the manufacturing is also in Germany.
So we also produce our own modules and our own parts, and everything is also made by Beckhoff?
Yes.
Okay. Now with this perfect combination of mechanics and electronics, we have an extra feature integrated, Tommy, and this is what you call endless rotation. So we have also a little video about this. So what does it mean, endless rotation?
Well, and as it says, we can rotate each individual axis endlessly.
So there's no stop after?
No, there's no stop. You don't have to rewind the axis, which is a big benefit because then you have shorter ways for your application. Yeah, so you save time in your application and have a higher throughput.
Yeah, but normally I notice that robots also have these high flexible cables around. We don't have cables, so we also spare this actually.
Exactly. We don't have to rewind because of an external cable pack or something.
Yeah, and I noticed when we saw a little video, you have a panel mounted to the end of the robot arm. This is one of my multi-touch panels using CP-Link 4. Yeah. CP-Link 4 actually needs gigabit Ethernet for communication, and this is all integrated. No cable, nothing.
Exactly, that's what the demo shows. Yeah.
There's no cable inside?
No, there's no cable.
Promise?
Yeah, I promise.
All right, no cable, a panel even attached. I think there's not much more to say unless there's space. Because I also noticed that the modules and the whole setup is extremely compact. Is this an extra benefit for customers?
Yes, of course. If you look like the footprint, everything counts in footprint. If you have a big robot, this means you need a big footprint in your machine. So if you have lesser modules, that means if you have just 4 axes instead of 6 axes, you have a littler footprint.
Okay, and I think the same is by missing the cables, you also simply save space and money.
Yes, of course.
Wow, mechanics are so easy. I'm so happy that we started with the mechanics. Now it's time to take a look into the software because this is easy as well. Well, and in order to talk about software, I also need some experts, and that's why I invited Uwe and Klaus over here to talk about software. Now what we see here is a 6-axis ATRO robot combined together with an explainer system all on one central control. And this is actually the key about the new software construction. But before we take a look into it, I think, Klaus, we should start. Now, we have already so many different products in TwinCAT which can be used, so which are in your mind?
That's true. So what is well known, of course, is TwinCAT PLC and also TwinCAT Motion. TwinCAT Motion means you have the PTP, you have interpolated movements, and also coordinated motion, and also TwinCAT kinematic transformation. But besides that, there are also a lot of other components like HMI, like IoT, like MATLAB Simulink integration, and also the vision integration into TwinCAT.
So the whole package is available. Let's change the point of view, and that's why we invited Uwe. Uwe, you have a proven record as one of the biggest German robot manufacturers for more than 25 years. Now you're part of the Beckhoff family. Now, if we have all these software functions, what is then the real benefit from a robot point of view?
Actually, this is what is missing in robot technology. Okay. So normally you have a robot controller that is for the robot, and now we have a system that has all the functionality that you normally need additionally to the robot. So you need a second controller with all that. Now we have everything integrated in one controller with one configuration system, and that makes this much more easier. It's much more easier for the engineering, for the configuration of the whole system.
That sounds really simple, but what I also noticed is that a lot of customers have then a third-party safety control. So what do we do with safety in this point of view?
Yeah, so Beckhoff has a lot of experience in safety, so we have safety systems on the market already, and that is an advantage compared to other robot manufacturers. They have to do this by themselves, and that's a very complicated stuff, and we are prepared for that, and it's also integrated, so we have this integration and that easy configuration of the system also for the safety system.
Okay, that sounds simple. Does simple also means cost saving?
Cost saving, of course, because engineering is always combined with costs, and if you make engineering easier, you will save costs.
Now, when we talk about cost, I remember, Klaus, that cost also has to do with the scale of the system. Now, you are with Trinket for so many years around. You have seen customers with just a single axis application, others with maybe 100 axes. So how is this scaled and how do we manage this today?
So on the one hand, we have the scalability on the software side. That means we have access packages and also different software packages. You only have to buy on the software side what you really need. And besides that, in case of a small system, you can run with a small CX, for instance. And for a big machine with hundreds and more axes, you would take a strong CPU.
Okay, now let's go back to the robot view. So can we use the same benefits we have already in our Trinket scalability and hardware scalability also for the robot control then?
Yes, of course. So it's the same situation if you do robotics. So if you have only one robot to control, you need the smallest controller. And if you want to have more robots, let's say 5, 6 or so, combined with any other parts of the machine, then you will take the bigger controller. In any case, you are only on one controller with one project, and everything is linked together, what makes it easy again, and to save the costs.
But there must be one thing which is missing. I don't get it. It sounds so easy, no? Let's talk about programming. So how can we program the robot? This must be complicated.
Yeah, so programming depends on what you have to do in your application. You might have a very complex application. Then you will need all the technology that Trinket provides to solve these applications. But in many cases, robot applications are simple, and therefore we will have a simple programming tool where you have an advanced mode, like we call it. There you can imagine you have standard robotic programming, but additionally to that we will have a very easy mode. In this mode you have predefined function blocks like skills, and the programming is just combine these function blocks to one robot program, and then you are done with your application.
Okay, easy mode, I love this word, but tell me, at least configuration must be complicated.
Configuration in this case is really easy because the system will do everything by its own. We will scan a robot and we will read every information from every axis, and from that we will build up the kinematic information for the robot, and from that we generate a project for this robot, and there's nothing you have to do. The system will do everything from the configuration side.
I think, gentlemen, there's not much more to say. Easy mode, simple configuration, easy mechanics, standardized modules. I think this half an hour showed you par excellence what ATRO can do for you. It's all about simplicity, to make it as easy as possible. And that's something which we love at Beckhoff. Take a look to our latest developments. AMP 8000, our differential modules, very easy to use and to applicate. Or take a look to the C70, 15 IPC. Just plug it somewhere and then deal is done. Or our MX system, standardized modules on a backplane, and the whole automation is done without even a cabinet. All things to make it easy, 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 because we don't like complexity. We like to make it as simple as possible. And that's what ATRO now does in the field of robotics. The easiest way to mechanically install it, to program it, to scan it. And this is ATRO Automation Technology for Robotics by Beckhoff.